There comes a moment in every life when a person must decide how they will be seen by the world, not by announcing their value, not by demanding recognition, and certainly not by begging for approval, but by the silent choices they make every single day. The truth is that people learn how to treat you by watching what you tolerate, what you protect, and what you refuse to surrender. Your worth is not a speech. It is not a title. It is not a number in a bank account or a collection of compliments gathered from strangers. Your worth lives in the small moments that most people overlook. The moments when you choose dignity over attention, peace over argument, and purpose over performance. These moments speak a language louder than any words ever could. Too many people spend years trying to convince others that they matter. They chase acceptance. They explain themselves endlessly. They shrink their dreams to fit inside someone else's comfort. Yet the remarkable thing about human nature is this. People rarely believe what you tell them about yourself. They believe what your behavior teaches them. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are writing a story about your value, the way you enter a room, the way you respond to disrespect, the way you carry yourself through disappointment, the way you honor your own time and energy. These actions become lessons, and those lessons shape how the world responds to you. The 7 behaviors we will explore are not loud. They do not demand applause. They are quiet, powerful, and deeply transformative. They are habits that communicate strength without arrogance, confidence without noise, and self-worth without explanation. When practiced consistently, they change not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Because the moment you begin treating your own life as something precious, the world starts paying attention. And when your actions finally match your value, respect no longer needs to be requested. It arrives on its own. The power of self-respect begins long before anyone else notices it. It is born in the private moments of life, when no audience is watching and no applause is waiting. It is the decision to honor yourself even when doing so is uncomfortable. Many people spend years searching for respect from others, hoping that recognition, praise, or acceptance will finally make them feel valuable. Yet true worth does not arrive from the outside. It grows from within, rooted in the way you see yourself and the standards you choose to live by. When a person respects themselves, they stop measuring their value through the opinions of others. They understand that approval is temporary and often unpredictable. One day people celebrate you, and the next day they criticize you. If your identity depends on their reactions, your confidence will rise and fall like a leaf carried by the wind. Self-respect creates something stronger. It gives you a steady foundation that remains firm regardless of who applauds or who doubts. This kind of respect reveals itself in everyday choices. It appears when you keep promises to yourself, even when nobody would know if you broke them. It appears when you refuse to compromise your principles for temporary comfort. It appears when you speak honestly instead of saying what others want to hear. These decisions may seem small, but they send a powerful message to your mind. I matter enough to be treated with dignity. People often believe that being respected means becoming louder, tougher, or more demanding. In reality, genuine respect rarely comes from force. It comes from consistency, When others see someone who knows their values and refuses to abandon them under pressure, they begin to recognize a quiet strength. There is something unmistakable about a person who does not bend themselves into different shapes to satisfy every expectation around them. Self-respect also requires courage. It means accepting that not everyone will understand your choices. Some people may become uncomfortable when you establish boundaries. Others may resist when you stop accepting treatment that once seemed normal. Yet, growth often creates distance between who you were and who you are becoming. The willingness to endure that discomfort is part of honoring your own worth. The most powerful aspect of self-respect is that it changes the energy you bring into every interaction. You no longer approach relationships from a place of need. You are not desperately seeking validation because you have already recognized your own value. This creates a calm confidence that people can sense. You become less concerned with proving yourself and more focused on being yourself. Over time, this inner shift transforms how others respond to you. People pay attention to the standards you set. They notice what you tolerate and what you reject. They learn from your behavior that your time, energy, and presence have value. Not because you demanded respect, but because you demonstrated it through the way you carried yourself each day. The respect you give yourself becomes a silent lesson that teaches the world how to treat you. Speaking less and letting your actions reveal your character is a powerful habit that quietly teaches people your worth. In a world where many feel pressured to constantly explain themselves, defend their choices, and seek recognition for every achievement, there is something remarkably strong about a person who allows their behavior to do the talking. Words can attract attention, but actions create belief. People may listen to what you say, but they trust what you consistently do. Many individuals spend a great deal of time trying to convince others of who they are. They announce their ambitions, describe their values, and speak endlessly about what they plan to accomplish. Yet character is not built through declarations. It is built through daily decisions. Anyone can talk about discipline, honesty, kindness, or strength. The real measure of those qualities appears when life becomes difficult and those values are tested. When you speak less, you create space for observation. Instead of constantly seeking validation through conversation, you focus on living according to your principles. You become more intentional with your words because you understand that not every thought requires expression. There is wisdom in knowing that silence is not weakness. Often, silence is a sign of confidence. It shows that you do not feel compelled to prove yourself at every opportunity. People who constantly advertise their strengths often become dependent on external approval. They want others to recognize their intelligence, generosity, success, or importance. However, true confidence does not demand an audience. A confident person understands that their value exists whether it is acknowledged or not. They are more concerned with becoming someone admirable than appearing admirable. Knacks possess a unique power because they cannot easily be disputed. A person may claim to be trustworthy, but trust is earned through reliability. A person may claim to be hardworking, but dedication is revealed through effort. A person may claim to be respectful, but respect is demonstrated through behavior. Over time, consistent actions form a reputation that speaks far louder than any self-description ever could. There is also a certain mystery that comes with speaking less. When you are not constantly revealing every plan, every opinion, and every intention, people become more attentive to what you do. They learn to watch rather than simply listen. Your presence gains weight because your words are chosen carefully rather than scattered freely. When you finally speak, others pay closer attention because they know your words are purposeful. This habit also protects your energy. Endless explanations can be exhausting. Trying to make everyone understand your choices often leads nowhere because some people have already decided what they want to believe. Instead of wasting valuable time defending yourself, you invest that energy into growth, improvement, and meaningful action. Results become your response. Progress becomes your argument. As the years pass, people begin to associate you with consistency rather than promises. They notice that you do not need to announce your intentions because your behavior already reflects them. They see someone who values substance over appearance and integrity over performance. This creates a deep form of respect that cannot be manufactured through clever words or temporary impressions. When your actions align with your values, your character becomes visible without explanation. Others learn who you are through experience rather than description. They see your discipline in your habit, your kindness in your treatment of others, your strength in your resilience, and your confidence in your ability to remain focused without constantly seeking attention or recognition from the world around you. Walking away from situations that diminish your value is one of the strongest expressions of self-respect. It is a decision that often requires more courage than staying. Many people remain in places, relationships, and environments that slowly drain their confidence because they fear change, loneliness, or uncertainty. They convince themselves that enduring disrespect is easier than facing the unknown. Yet every moment spent accepting treatment that undermines your worth sends a message, not only to others, but also to yourself. Your life is shaped by what you tolerate. When you repeatedly allow people to disregard your feelings, ignore your boundaries, or treat you as less than you deserve, you begin to normalize those experiences. Over time, what once felt unacceptable starts to feel familiar. Familiarity, however, should never be mistaken for health. Just because something has become common does not mean it is right. Walking away is not about pride or revenge. It is not about proving a point or punishing someone. It is about recognizing that your dignity is too valuable to be exchanged for temporary comfort. There comes a moment when remaining in a harmful situation costs more than leaving it. That cost may not always be visible at first. It may appear as growing self-doubt, emotional exhaustion, loss of motivation, or a quiet sadness that follows you through your days. Many people wait for dramatic reasons before they permit themselves to leave. They look for undeniable proof that a relationship is unhealthy, a friendship is one-sided, or an environment is toxic. Yet, not every harmful situation announces itself with obvious signs. Sometimes the damage happens slowly, It happens in conversations where your voice is constantly dismissed. It happens in relationships where your efforts are never appreciated. It happens in environments where you feel pressured to shrink yourself, to make others comfortable. Knowing when to walk away requires honesty. It asks you to examine whether a situation supports your growth or consistently undermines it. It requires you to ask difficult questions. Does this place allow me to be myself? Does this relationship bring mutual respect? Am I becoming stronger or weaker by remaining here? The answers may not always be easy, but they often reveal what your heart has known for a long time. There is a powerful lesson people learn when they see you leave situations that do not honor your worth. They learn that access to your presence is not automatic. They learn that respect is a requirement, not a bonus. Most importantly, you teach yourself that your value is not dependent on being accepted at any cost. Of course, walking away can be painful. There may be memories, hopes, and emotional attachments that make the decision difficult. You may grieve what could have been. You may question yourself along the way. But growth often begins where comfort ends. Every time you choose your dignity over mistreatment, you strengthen your sense of self. The people who understand their worth do not stay where they are, repeatedly diminished. They do not remain in spaces that demand they sacrifice their identity, peace, or self-respect. Instead, they trust that losing a harmful connection is far better than losing themselves. By walking away from what weakens your spirit, you create room for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect the value you have finally chosen to recognize within yourself. Living with quiet confidence rather than constant validation is one of the most powerful ways to communicate your worth to the world. It is a strength that does not need to announce itself, a confidence that exists whether anyone notices it or not. Many people spend their lives searching for reassurance from others. They look for approval in compliments, recognition in attention, and value in the opinions of those around them. While encouragement can be meaningful, it becomes dangerous when it turns into a necessity. The moment your self-worth depends entirely on external validation, you hand other people control over how you feel about yourself. Quiet confidence begins with an understanding that your value is not determined by applause. It is not measured by how many people agree with you, admire you, or praise your achievements. Instead, it comes from knowing who you are and remaining grounded in that knowledge. A quietly confident person does not wake up each morning wondering whether the world approves of them. They focus on living according to their values, trusting that their actions will speak for themselves. There is a noticeable difference between confidence and the need for validation. Confidence is internal, validation is external. Confidence says, I know my worth. Validation says, tell me my worth. One comes from self-awareness, while the other depends on the reactions of others. When people become dependent on validation, they often find themselves trapped in a cycle of seeking approval. They change their behavior to please others, silence their true opinions, to avoid criticism, and constantly compare themselves to those around them. Quiet confidence breaks that cycle. It allows you to make decisions based on your principles rather than public opinion. You no longer feel the need to explain every choice or justify every step you take. You understand that not everyone will agree with you, and that is perfectly acceptable. The goal is not universal approval. The goal is personal integrity. This kind of confidence also creates a sense of calm. People who constantly seek validation often live in a state of emotional dependence. Their mood rises when they receive praise and falls when they face criticism. Quietly confident individuals are different. They appreciate encouragement, but they are not controlled by it. They accept criticism when it is useful and let it go when it is not. Their sense of identity remains steady because it is built on something deeper than public opinion. Others naturally notice this quality. There is something compelling about a person who does not seem desperate for attention. They do not dominate every conversation or seek recognition for every accomplishment. They simply carry themselves with dignity and purpose. Their confidence feels authentic because it is not performed for an audience. Over time, this quiet confidence teaches people an important lesson about your worth. It shows them that you respect yourself enough not to chase approval. It demonstrates that your value is not negotiable and does not fluctuate based on temporary opinions. You become someone who is guided by conviction rather than popularity, by purpose rather than praise. When you stop asking the world to confirm your value, you begin to experience a different kind of freedom. You move through life with greater clarity, stronger boundaries, and a deeper sense of peace. Your confidence no longer depends on being noticed, admired, or celebrated by others. It becomes a quiet force that shapes your decisions, strengthens your character, and reflects the unshakable belief that your worth already exists, even in the absence of recognition.